Good morning and welcome to another episode of Titan Talk, the podcast everybody in Mercer County is talking about. I'm your host, David Sullivan.
I'm Keyshawn Edwards.
And I'm Judah Goon.
Hey there. We're coming to you from the beautiful Dennis Davis Studios located on the Evan Harlow campus in Harrodsburg, Kentucky. We're excited to bring you all the weekly news with special guest commentary and hopefully something that you can use. Don't forget, if you like this podcast, tell your friends and subscribe on YouTube. Our guest today, Mr. Jason McAllister, we're super excited to have you here. Welcome.
Super excited.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
Well, thank you. We're glad that you're here. First of all, we need to know what you're comfortable with how we address you. We know your title is Chief Academic Officer. Should we call you Chief McAllister or Officer McAllister, or what do people call you?
Mr. McAllister is fine.
Mr. McAllister. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we didn't know how formal to get with this.
Yeah.
Well,
Mr. McAllister will work.
All right. Great. Well, thanks again for being here today.
Thank you.
We wanted to start today with really sort of fleshing out what it is that an academic officer does. We've read in the newspapers, the Harrodsburg Herald, talked a little bit about test scores. We know that you're involved in a lot of the academic curriculum that comes through. But we wanted to when we were doing research, we didn't find a whole lot about that job description or title, and we just wanted, if you would, walk us through what you do and what a normal day looks like for you, and kind of what some of your responsibilities are.
Yeah, not all districts have that position.
Mm-hmm.
Some do and some don't. Some they're just called different things. So sometimes you'll have an assistant superintendent or something like that. But it's definitely a district level administration position. And what I do day in, day out is handle instructional issues across the district in every building, and then the other big part is dealing with testing and assessments, and I'm sure that's something that you guys know all about. That's a big part of the world that we're in, and so it seems like we're always either giving an assessment, preparing for one, or wrapping one up.
Yeah, seems like it's gotten crazy.
Yeah, at all times, especially across all the buildings, because all the buildings take different types of assessments and tests and stuff like that. So I do a lot to help the schools prepare for that and get ready for it and give it and all the small things that go along with that. And then, like I said, on the instructional side, teachers have a principal and a coach in the building that are there to help them with their instruction and talk and bounce ideas off of them and things like that. And I do the same thing at the district level. I'm there for the coaches and the principals and the teachers too, if they need it, just to answer questions or research things and do everything I can to help try to make the instruction in our district the best it can be. So that's really kind of the main role that I have. So a normal day for me, it's a little bit different than the previous roles I've been in. I've been a principal for the last 14 years. And principal, you do nothing all day but react to the things that happen during the day and help handle those. Mm-hmm. And it's very different for me now. My days are definitely more scheduled. So I will spend time in the morning just communicating with the people at the building and seeing what's going on with them, keeping up with that stuff. And like I said, there seems like there are always some meetings or trainings or things to order or things to organize. And I'm processing those for people. And throughout the day, people will send me messages of things they need or need help with, or things they have questions about, and so I'm handling those things. But I always have big dates on the horizon. Like for now, you guys probably have heard about these things. We're going to have an online testing field test this year. That's big. For the vast majority of our students will take an online test in February. That's brand new. Well, that takes a lot. That's no small thing. We're going to have thousands online at the same time trying to take these assessments, and so that takes a great deal of coordination. Principals and teachers have no time in their day to coordinate that stuff.
Right.
So they need our department to coordinate that and work out all the kinks as much as possible, so that when that stuff comes along, it goes well. So that kind of, we're just every day checking in to see how we're doing on that, how prepared we're getting, how well we're doing, and what we need to do. And then lastly, I would say I communicate with the State Department for our schools a lot. So I'm constantly talking to the people in Frankfort in the Department of Education about about any and everything regarding instruction, certification, professional learning and testing, and just running down issues they have and trying to do the best I can to remove obstacles for teachers and principals.
I would think organization would have to be a huge part of your job. I'm just listening to all that, and I'm like, I don't think I could keep. I couldn't keep up with all that.
Yeah, it is.
It's
and
tough.
It is. It seems overwhelming at times. It does. And part of that probably is because I'm new in this position. So, anytime when you get to go through something once, you're better at it the next time.
Right.
And so, not only am I new, but we have people at each school building. And we have people down here at your building, at the high school, the middle school, both elementaries, and there's one person there that's our contact person that takes care of any assessments that are going on. And most of those people are new in that role this year, too.
Oh, my gosh.
That's right. So that's made it
boy.
interesting as well. So there's we're all doing a great deal of learning, and you're trying to balance that with the new things that have come out from the State Department. There are new things every year to learn. So, yeah, organization is huge. There's no question about that. And it's something you have to stay on top of. You can feel really organized today, and by lunch tomorrow feel disorganized. So,
Do you like it so far?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I think it's very different than what I've been doing for so long, and so it's been a really good change. And you get to focus on things that I enjoy. I enjoy learning, and enjoy instruction and stuff like that, and so I get to focus a lot of time on that. So I have loved it. Yeah.
That's great. I would think you'd have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You better.
That's right. You better love that job.
That's right.
So, Mr. McAllister, I have a question for you.
Sure.
How did you transition from teaching English to being a principal to where you are today?
Yeah, that wasn't easy. I tell you, the best principals are the ones that miss teaching. If they don't miss teaching, I think that makes it difficult. Because you always the teachers have the hardest job in the district. Not me, not Mr. Davis, not any of us. We have nobody has a harder job than teachers have. And so great principals and great central office people remember what it was like to be a teacher. And there's a part of you that misses doing that. So that wasn't easy for me to give up. I loved teaching. I loved coaching. I loved that whole experience of teaching people things and seeing them get it and strive and struggle with it and stuff. So it was different, and I was very young when I got into that. I was 29 years old when I got my first administrative position.
That is young.
That is young. That's very young for a principal. And I was a principal at a day treatment center.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very different. I think the biggest difference is 1 week I was teaching beside these people. The next week I was in an office down the hall being their principal. That's hard because
It's got to be a lot of fun to that too,
yeah,
though, right?
and I had some really close friends that I was teaching with, and that wasn't easy for them to make that adjustment. And so it was different because it's all about you just had to learn to communicate differently. I mean, when you're a teacher, you're building relationships with kids and communicating with kids, and when you become an administrator, you're building relationships and communicating with adults and other leaders. And so it's a big shift. It takes a long time to learn to do that.
I bet it does.
Yeah.
But I'd like to try.
Yeah.
What are some obstacles you had to overcome, like switching different schools over your career?
Yeah, the schools that every school has a very, very unique identity.
Mm-hmm.
There are none. They're not alike. They're very different. The kids that are in are different. The community is different, and they all have something that they are good at. They all have something they need to improve on. That's just the way it is. And so I think the one thing I learned early on is when you change schools or change positions, it's okay to not know. You don't have to know everything. There's an instinct within you that wants to never say, oh, I don't know how to do that, or I don't know what the answer to that is. That is a mistake. Sometimes the best thing you can do is say, I don't know. Or you have teachers in your building that are the experts in these things, and so that takes a little bit of maturing to get to that point where you you don't have to pretend like you know everything. That you you take the experience for what it is. You rely on good people, surround yourself with good people, and that took me, that changes with every job. Like I said, so you have to go in and learn the school, learn the people, be open to that, and that's an important part of transitioning, I believe.
So the other day when we was doing research, Mr. Sullivan was talking about he saw and heard you playing music, and he said it was outstanding, it was good.
All
So
right.
can I
That
ask
gave
you
you
a
a good
question?
rating.
When did you start playing music?
The people in my mother's family all played music. It was around all the time growing up. And I still have notebooks where my mom was learning to play the guitar, and she would write. Back then you didn't go on the internet and look up lyrics to a song. The only way you could get the lyrics to a song is wait for it to come on the radio,
Right, way different.
and write the lyrics down when the song played. Yeah, that's a little different than now, where it's just so accessible to you. And I had these notebooks where my mom wrote these lyrics to songs that she heard on the radio, or she would tape them off of the radio, which is probably something else that you guys probably haven't ever had to do. But
No, they
you would
haven't.
play the radio all day, and when the DJ would say, "Oh, this song's coming up next," and it was one of your favorite songs, we would keep a tape in the player, run over and press record and record that off the radio.
Yeah, I
and
remember
then,
doing that too.
Yeah, then write the lyrics down, try to learn the song on the guitar, and you had the lyrics there. What's funny is when you wrote the lyrics down, you thought you heard something and you wrote them down incorrectly, and you sang it incorrectly for years. And then you got in front of
Yeah.
people and you sang incorrect lyrics out loud for people, and they start laughing.
Yeah.
And you didn't know why they were laughing. That was always fun. But yeah, so I started playing music when I was pretty young. Started playing guitar when I was probably 16 or 17. Yeah. And so I played all over the place for, hundreds of places.
Did you ever have any stage fright?
Oh, yeah.
You
Oh,
seemed pretty
yeah.
comfortable the other night.
I mean, I have done it for a while now, but even now when you go into a new place and it's packed with people and stuff, sometimes you go in there and you practice and done all these things, and you go into a place and you play like crazy, and they eat food and don't pay any attention to you. And you just never know. But, yeah, I still get that occasionally.
We're going to stop for just a second for station identification. YouTube rules make us do a 15-minute time limit, so we're going to stop.